the Louisville bank shooting. And with that news, comes questions about workplace violence, workplace safety. And we're joined here to kind of answer those questions by Jim Link. And Mr. Link, he is the Chief Human Resource Officer for the Society of Human Resource Management. Mr. Link, good afternoon.
Hello, nice to meet you, and greetings.
Likewise, thanks for joining us here on the show. So I guess the first question that I have for you today is just, in general terms, how prevalent is violence in the workplace?
Yeah, we continue to see violence in the workplace occur at incredibly interesting and growing rates. For example, in the time period from 2014 to 2019, workplace homicides increased by 11%.
So with that being the case, are certain industries more prone to workplace violence?
You would expect to see more violence in what we would think of as the protective services industry, so police officers and security guards. But we also see people in managerial ranks being the second largest population that's impacted by workplace violence.
Now, with that being the case, I remember, in early 2000s, late 90s, disgruntled employee was kind of like almost a buzzword, if you will. Culturally, it does not seem to be the case so much anymore. So why is it not quite as talked about as it used to be?
I think there's a period of change that we're experiencing now related to workplace violence. And in that period of change, we're continuing to deal with after effects of isolationism and loneliness brought on by the pandemic, by an expectation that the workforce will be there to protect you at all times, and other issues which I think are becoming more and more prevalent around the whole mental health crisis, not just in the workplace, but in our society.
Now, as far as demographics go, are men or women more likely to be the perpetrators or receivers of workplace violence?
The people on the receiving end of workplace violence are almost exclusively men. 82% of those that are impacted by workplace violence are male.
And who is the people committing these crimes?
I don't have data on the exact number of people or gender of people who are committing those crimes. Anecdotally, it appears to be predominantly male.
Now, as far as the managers who are in these jobs or these industries, what should they be looking out for, the employees as well? What are the warning signs, the red flags to be noticing if you see them? And if you do see them, how should you go about reporting those particular warning signs?
Yeah, the most obvious thing to look for in any situation involving work and employees are changes in behavior for those employees. We may see this as being more aggressive, being more short-tempered, even changes in hygiene and appearance. Anything that's different from the norm, and particularly in reactions to how that employee would respond to a workplace situation, like a change in schedule or a change in practice or policy, would be things that you would want to be watching out for.
Now, if you saw those things, what's the best way to go about addressing them without escalating the situation?
Yeah, the absolute best thing to do is to let people who are managers or other leaders in those organizations know what you've observed. Oftentimes there are workplace violence training which has occurred, and in those organizations that have had workplace violence training, 87% of those employees in those organizations report that they would know what to do in the event of a workplace violence situation.
So, if the decision is made to remove somebody from the workplace who's exhibited these red flags or what have you, is there specific safety measures that can be taken to reduce the risk of anything happening escalation-wise in the process of that firing?
Yeah, the absolute best thing you can do is to plan ahead. And if you're the manager or the human resources professional who's involved in that separation with the employee, the first thing to do is to ensure that you yourself are in an environment that's safe. The second is to involve others. That would be security teams or other individuals who might be there to help account for your safety. And the third and most important thing is, in those situations, they're uncomfortable for everyone. So it's important to show empathy and to show your own skill and capability as a trained professional whenever you're having one of those separation events with an employee.
Now, as far as preparing, as far as getting training, etc., what's the best way to go about getting those blocks put in place to make sure that you're ready for whatever happens in the future?
Yeah, we highly encourage the use of workplace violence training in the workplace. We believe it's the absolute smartest thing you can do. It's relatively low cost, and the benefits of awareness and responsibility that the employer takes to help its employees are absolutely the right thing to do. There are numerous services out there today providing that type of learning and that type of training for employees and managers and leaders in the workplace.
And finally, can you just kind of talk a bit about what the Society for Human Resource Management is and what you guys do?
Sure. The Society for Human Resource Management is the largest human resource association in the world. We're approximately 325,000 members, and it's our job to ensure that human resources professionals understand everything there is to know about the world of work and the workplace.
Mr. Link, thanks so much for your time. We'll look forward to talking to you again.
It's my pleasure. Have a great day now.
Thank you. You as well. Again, that was Jim Link. He's the Chief Human Resources Officer for the Society for Human Resource Management. Oh, here we go. Discussing again, just workplace violence in the wake of what we saw in Louisville regarding that shooting. We're going to have more, of course, on that a bit later on all of our platforms, our websites, our newscasts, our news apps, and of course, right here on East Texas Now. So make sure you stay tuned for that. In the meantime,